Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of realiTEACheckpodcast, where tea is served and checks are dispersed, honey. My
Okay.
name is Diana, and we are actually missing Mare today. She's a little busy, but we're joined by my very good friend, Tope. Tope, say hello to the Reality Check audience and family. Yes, we are so happy to have you. Tope is a good friend of mine that we are literally always sending voice notes back and forth to each other about some of the madness that we see on, especially Love is Blind. So I
Mhm.
was really excited to have her come on and join us today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you were special because I kept saying to you, I don't know how I said yes.
Honestly, I actually have been asking Tope, I think for the past, how long we've had this podcast for a year? I've probably been
Yeah.
asking for about a year to come on, and she said no every time. I was shocked when I tried again, and she said yes. So I do not take this lightly. Thank you so much for joining.
Sure, glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So today we are talking all things Love is Blind, child, because those people,
Mm,
they are a chaotic mess. But before
mm,
we do get into that, we do have a tradition here at Reality Check Podcast where we like to make sure that we are sipping on something real nice while we are listening and chatting and chit chatting it up. So welcome back to What Are You Drinking? So Tope, I did ask you to bring a drink with you. Would you mind sharing with our audience, what are you drinking?
So I have this is in honor of the gold goblet. This is as close to as I
Ah, I like
can,
it. Yep.
but it's called H2 on the Rocks.
Listen, I heard that. You better speak a word. H2O on the
Love
rocks.
ice water. So yeah, that's what we're
I
drinking tonight.
I love it. I love it. Well, in honor of H2O on the rocks, I have some H2O bubbly. So cheers.
I actually wanted to get that, but I'm out
Yeah.
of water. So yeah, cheers to that.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair. Cheers, cheers. So, if you are listening, please make sure you get yourself something nice to sip on and join us as we chat about Love is Blind. These people are cutting up on this season of Love is Blind. So far, this season, the city that they are based in is Washington, D.C., which is a very interesting place because I am actually local to the DMV area. So
Chocolate
it's,
City.
I'm sorry?
Chocolate City.
Yeah, Chocolate City. So it's interesting to see things that are happening and be like, well, I've been there. But it's also interesting to see like a lot of Black people were shown on the cast this season. I think they captured 7 engagements, which they typically only capture 5. They
Hmm.
captured 7 and they followed 6 couples, which is a first on Love is Blind because, again, they only capture and follow 5, but they followed 6 couples. So we'll, I guess, go couple by couple and we'll chit chat a little bit about each person. So I guess we can start off with how would you choose since you're our guest? Which couple would you like us to dive into first?
I think we could start off with the hot mess first. I would say we should start with Leo.
Oh, girl.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Oh, girl. Leo and Brittany.
Yeah, Leo and Brittany.
Okay, so for those that are listening, if you do not remember, Leo and Brittany were members of the Pod Squad, and they, Lord Jesus, they were a mess. Leo was an individual that came into the pod saying that his greatest fear was that a woman would only want him for his money. Brittany came into the pods wanting to be a housewife. So Leo and Brittany matched up. They got engaged. They met. They were not followed, but they did go to Miami, and then they broke up from there. Tope, what are your thoughts on Leo and Brittany?
They went to Miami.
They did.
I don't even think they made it that far. But
Yeah.
I mean, so I before I say anything, I definitely want to say it's clear that I'm only giving my opinion based on what they showed us. So because I know Leo has said a whole bunch of stuff about he didn't mention anything about money in the pods, which is weird because it was coming out of his mouth. So
Absolutely.
I'm like, I can't imagine how they must have edited that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it was clear that Brittany definitely wanted, it seemed like Brittany definitely just wanted to, the good life, marry someone who was well off, and then she could maybe just be a housewife and not have to work. But clearly they're not, I don't think they were compatible. Even the reveal, like the way they were hugging each other was a bit awkward. And at that moment, I almost felt like Brittany had this look on her face, almost like, "What did I just do?"
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, the reveals are so cringy for me to watch. It's so cringy for me to watch these people that did not know each other 10 days prior. They're getting engaged, talking about a whole bunch of babies and I love yous. It makes my skin crawl. With Brittany, I was a little disappointed in her because I was expecting for her to break up with Leo, because their experience in the pods was a little bit tumultuous, where Brittany seemed to have a little bit of sense and was breaking up with him and saying, we've tainted our relationship, because honestly these people were going back and forth with whoever they wanted. They just wanted to be chosen by the first person that would choose them. But so Brittany recognized that in the pods and was seemingly breaking up with him and telling him that the relationship is tainted, but all he had to say was, "No, baby, I want you," and she's right back into it.
I think she had the end goal in mind, probably. And she's probably thinking about the bank account, maybe.
Did he mention, I can't remember if Leo had mentioned to Brittany whether or not he had money, but I think you're right. I think that Brittany only had the end goal in mind, and that was just to get married. But I think all of that went out the window when the reveal happened, because Brittany could not even figure out what show she was on when the reveal happened. She was sitting in front of that camera talking about I can't process the fact that I'm engaged. Well, what did you think you were here to do? And then Leo is smothering this poor woman and will not let go of this tight grip.
I feel like Brittany's reaction and what she was saying is just, it was kind of evident to the fact that sometimes some people think that the social experiment of Love is Blind is a good idea. And they go on there thinking this will be great. But then I feel like when you then get matched and you have a reveal, it's like reality hits and you're like, wait. For some people, that's the point where they're like, wait, am I really doing this?
Right.
But for other couples, which maybe we'll get to later, it's probably like closer to the wedding. You're like, wait. Well, I don't want to,
No, it's fine. No, I think you make a great point. Like, some people don't realize truly, like, what they're actually getting into until reality really slaps them in the face and they realize, like, I actually signed up for a show where I have to get engaged to a person and then essentially like live a life with this person, accelerated life with this person for 4 weeks, and then make it to an altar and decide whether or not they're going to be my spouse. Which then leads me to the next couple, Hannah and Nick. Because Hannah and Nick, Leo and Brittany were kind of in this weird foursome where Hannah and Leo were dating, as well as Brittany and Leo, right? So, sorry audience, follow me with this like love quad, whatever. Hannah and Leo were dating, and Hannah was also dating Nick. Hannah kind of got the sense that Leo was not making her his number one, so she broke up with Leo and then other way. Hannah got the sense that Nick was not making her the number one, so she broke up with Nick and then went with Leo. Leo also was kind of an unserious person, so she went back with Nick and whatever, and broke up with Leo, whatever nonsense. Either way, Hannah and Nick ended up getting engaged. Nick done told all these girls in the pods that he's a big build, he's a football player, he's in the NFL.
Well, did he do that? Or I feel like he said he played football, and I think I remember the position that he mentioned he played, which I think some people say like the position he plays, like the players are not really big, but I feel like naturally when people hear football player, they just think.
You know what I thought? When Nick said that he plays football and he's a kicker, and he was in the NFL or CFL or whatever. He's an athlete. It made me think of Chelsea from last season, where she went and told that boy that people tell her that she looks like Megan Fox.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a little bit manipulative in a way to kind of not directly say that you look like this, but to kind of create the illusion that you look like have a certain build. Because if someone tells you they look like a football player, you kind of have an idea of what they potentially look like.
Yeah.
We do understand certain positions are smaller than others, but I don't
even know if Nick. I don't remember if Nick said, like, Chelsea situation was a mess. But back to season 7,
Yeah.
I don't remember if Nick said he looked like a football player or if he was just simply talking about his life and what he used to do and what he now does, where he used to play football and now I think he's mentioned about sustaining an injury and now he is a realtor. So I think that maybe in the space of him mentioning that, obviously it's like you can't help but maybe envision that, oh, maybe this is what he looks like.
Yeah,
But
it's possible.
Hannah and Nick.
So Hannah, upon them meeting, Hannah was very overcritical of Nick and his maturity. She felt like Nick was very immature. She felt that Nick was immature because he lived with his parents, because he does not have much knowledge on financial literacy and financial responsibility, which is interesting because he is a realtor. She also felt like she felt very frustrated with him because she had to continue to tell him to take out the trash or tell him to walk the dog and do like basic house things. So I guess I would love to know your thoughts on Hannah's critique of Nick, and also just, is Hannah right? Like, Nick was 28 years old, I guess, in the pods. Hannah was 26. He did come here looking for marriage. Does Hannah have a point where she's like, bro, you should know these things if you're coming here looking for a wife? Does she have a point?
So I have a lot when it comes to Hannah and Nick. The funny thing is, in the pods, I felt she seemed immature. Mm-hmm. So when the script flipped, and I felt like it almost seemed like the way they made Hannah come across, it almost seemed like the situation that played out with Hannah and Leo maybe boosted her confidence. And it kind of became like, oh, I'm the one who everyone wants. So maybe that's how she came off. But fast forward to like them making their decisions and then coming out of the pods. I do think, I don't actually think the question is Hannah right? Because I think everyone has what they want in a partner. So I feel like Hannah has what she wants in a partner, and she knows what she wants, which is a good thing. Now, the side that I feel like she needs to work on, which shows to her lack of maturity, is how she conveys or how she articulates what she wants to her partner. Like, man, I mean, I in the pods, I was kind of like indifferent about Nick, but the whole thing ended with me I felt for him. And, I have a son. So, like, I just kept imagining. I couldn't imagine what his mom would have felt watching her son being treated that way. Like, this is a guy you just met in the pods, and you're making comments like, I turned you from a boy into a man. And you're saying things to him like, when you start being... And this is me paraphrasing, something like, when you contribute, then you'll be treated like an equal or something like that. Things that if a man said to a woman, it will be clear outrage, right? Yeah, like an uproar. So I don't think she's wrong in knowing what she wants. I just think that she needs to learn how to articulate it in a way that doesn't tear people down. And Nick had that thing between initially Hannah and Katie, and so then you do see like the point where Nick eventually meets Katie, like the way Katie delivers the message to him as to like, I didn't think we matched, but also kind of gave him like constructive criticism.
Right.
But Hannah's was just like,
Right.
and I mean, I almost felt like I wished Nick was the one who kind of just like borrowed a bit of like confidence from what's this guy's name? Tim, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from Tim, and be like, you girl, you are not gonna treat me like this.
Right. Right.
Like it. I
Right.
mean, the gaslighting, the abuse, the emotional
Yeah.
abuse, it was bad. It was bad.
It was definitely a lot to watch. I agree with you. I think that Hannah is very specific in what she wants in a person, which is absolutely fine. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I also think, while Hannah is specific, I also think that Nick needs to grow up, because I can only imagine if I'm sitting across from a fiance and I'm asking you about basic things about finances and you have no idea. I also want to say I don't see anything wrong with the fact that Nick is living with his parents and trying to save money. I'm an advocate for it. I did it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Um, I just agree that Hannah's delivery and the way that she kind of degraded him, I think was problematic, right? And I definitely think that there is a way to speak to somebody and share with them how your hope for them is to grow in this area. But if they're not willing to do that, then yeah, chuck your deuces up and leave. I was very uncomfortable with the fact that after he had met Katie, she had such a huge deal with a woman that she calls her best friend in all of her life that she just met in the pods. I don't really understand. I don't know if they know each other prior to being in the pods, but the expectation for him to sit and listen to her concern, and he did, and then for her to then, when he's now expressing his own concern, she just wants to brush it off and like kiss it goodbye. That irritated me, because I'm like, you are not giving the same respect that you expect from him, and you will then embarrass him in front of your friends, your brother, your parents, your whatever. Like, I just felt that she was just disrespectful. I
Yeah,
felt it
yeah,
just reached a point of disrespect.
yeah. Like speaking of embarrassment, the scene where she was talking about their sex life.
After he
Again,
told you that he did not want to.
these are
Ah,
things that as a like I just feel like if a man did that to a woman talking about to their talk, whether if a guy was if they caught a scene where a guy was talking with his bros and
yeah.
they talking about how she doesn't do it for him in the bedroom, it would be like it would just be bad. So I just don't. I didn't appreciate that. I felt like it was embarrassing. Do I think that Nick has stuff to work on? Yes.
Yes.
I also think Hannah has stuff to work on.
Absolutely.
But then the truth is, everybody's a work in progress, right? But the maturity is that comes in play is how you handle with grace and patience people in their working state, I
Yeah.
guess, and not just constantly beat them down, even if like if she when she keeps saying she's mature, like even if she got to the point where she realized he did not have the things that she needed, just the ability to convey that we're not meant to be. I think you're a great person. You'll be great for someone else, but I don't think we work. I don't think we're compatible.
Simple.
And just yeah, and just like just
Simple.
because yeah, but just the tearing down. I mean, it's clear. It takes while yes, someone who is a leader, a guy and understands finances and has like a little bit more understanding of basic things like taking care of your home and all that stuff or taking the trash out. All of that is important in marriage, but so is emotional intelligence, so is emotional
Speak on
maturity,
it.
so is knowing how to communicate in a way that actually uplifts your partner and not tear them down. And that is the stuff that it seemed, at least the side of Hannah that was portrayed, that's the
That
stuff
we
that
didn't
is
get.
that she needs to work on.
Correct. And it seems as though I saw a clip of an interview, and I think I posted it on our page from Hannah. It seems as though she's come to that realization, because she did say that she has since apologized to Nick for her delivery, because she felt that she was wrong, or people had spoken to her and informed her that she was wrong. So she has apologized to him. So let's see how it plays out with them at the reunion.
I
Um
mean,
what? What?
that's the the other thing that pisses me off with the whole like Hannah and Nick story. Just seeing all of that and knowing that the usually when a girl is treating a guy like that, the women are never held accountable
Ooh, so that
at
brings
the
us to
reunion. So that's why when you're like, let's see how it goes at the reunion, I'm like,
yeah. It's not
I
gonna
just
happen. Yeah, because
I just
if Vanessa Lachey has
it's
anything
not
to do with it,
like oh at least she apologized. At
yeah,
least
yeah. No, I get that. I get
but we'll
that.
see.
We'll see.
Maybe things will be different this time.
We will see. Vanessa, if Vanessa Lachey has anything to do with this, she'll most likely probably go in on Nick. It also brings up another topic that we don't have to get into. I'll probably just leave this thought with the audience that's listening. Someone had commented on one of our posts saying that basically Nick actually got what he deserved, that it's actually internalized misogyny that
Ooh.
people use to actually correct Hannah in the way that she is trying to handle this man child. So yeah. So I guess I will leave that with the audience to kind of form their own opinion on what they believe and what they think about that statement, and we'll see how it plays out at the reunion.
Bottom line is they both need work. Both of them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So the next couple that I want to talk about really briefly is Monica and Stefan, or Steven, whatever, however you pronounce his name.
Oh.
Now, this
Oh.
is the couple that okay, oh Lord Jesus, sorry. I guess she didn't know if she was black, and he had done some ancestry thing, or his father had done some ancestry thing, and he found out that he was like mostly Ghanaian and Nigerian, which honestly, when I looked at that man, I'm like, sorry, sir, you're black. In case I actually thought he was actually like a person with albinism, so I didn't even
That's what
realize
I
that.
thought too.
But he identifies as someone that's white, so that's fine. But either way, they got engaged, and Steven seemed to really be talking a lot. And Monica expressed discomfort with this and had asked him to stop taking up all of the space with all of his words. Monica seemed to be obsessed with flowers and really wanted him to like put in effort to get her expensive gifts. She does not want a Kate Spade bag. She wants YSL and Louis Vuitton. Steven has no idea if Louis Vuitton is a Muppet or if that is a person. And then Monica ends up finding text messages between Steven and a random woman that he met at a sleep study that he says that he got drunk at, and was sending kinky messages to this woman that he had just newly met. Monica was disgusted by this. Monica said, you better Venmo me back my money and everything that I have spent on you in the last day or two, and it's over. And we haven't seen or heard from them since.
Well, Monica was at the what's that stuff? The
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the meetup, the
yeah.
Renaissance party that they had, right?
Hmm.
She was. Yeah. Do you think these two are actually ever truly compatible?
No, but I will say though that I feel like sometimes it can be a little. Then speaking of Monica, I feel like sometimes for some people it can be a little tough to watch a woman clearly articulate or request for things that she wants from her partner. So I feel like while I saw some people kind of taking digs at her, like, can't she see that he's not, when she's requesting for certain designer purses or whatever. But I'm like, if that's what she wants, she should be allowed to say that that's what she would like, and she's not demanding it. She's just telling him things that she likes. So I feel like I like that she, on one hand, is able to articulate the things that she wants in the areas
Yeah.
of gifts, but on the other hand, like, on other things, she expects him to read her mind. Like that scene where they were at the honeymoon and she asked him a question and he's talking. Granted, Stephen can be long-winded, but like what I didn't get was her being upset. Like, read the room. Like, can't you even let me speak? But you asked him a question, so I feel like let him get it out. And
Right.
if he's taking too long, then make it like a fun activity sport where you jump in and kind of like give your feedback. But
Right.
it seemed like she was looking for him to always read her mind. And actually, the other reason why I didn't quite think they were compatible is sometimes she came across like she was irritated by him.
Yes. Yes. That's
And I don't know,
yeah.
maybe she has a resting bee face,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she seemed sometimes irritated by him, especially that scene where she was like a bit passive about the fireworks.
And he didn't go. I knew
And
when he didn't walk up to them fireworks, I'm like, oh, Steven.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Steven, you're about to get it. It's not, like, she's not going to be happy with that at all.
yeah. But I have
Um,
one question to ask you.
please.
What did you think about the reveal? Because I was like, I can't be the only
Okay.
one that thought that Monica looked like she was about to pass out or
Yeah, I
something.
don't think that she really thought that he was attractive because she continued to reiterate he's never a guy that I would ever go for in the real. When someone says that type of thing more than one time, you're not attracted to that person. I
Yeah,
don't think so, right? But Steven is a very he's a very sexual guy. And
yeah.
I thought their reveal was like, can you don't know this woman. I don't care.
No, in a way, he was kind of like
He
just
was
chomping on her
literally
face.
eating her face. And I think I did a video on this. I'm like, can this guy is literally eating her
Oh my
face. And
gosh. Yeah.
Steven, I want to say this in the most respectful way.
Mm.
Steven's he has a very curious eye. It looks like his eyes are very curious. So when he is interested in something, his eyes open wide, and because he has bright blue eyes, they really look like he's like really interested in something. So it the way that it comes across on camera, I'm like,
Hmm.
this guy's literally, if he could, he would literally like decapitate her and eat her face,
Yeah,
eat her face off.
yeah, it was intense.
It
I
is a
will
lot.
say though that, watching like all the episodes, I felt bad for him because to me he just came across like someone that was so in touch with his emotions and just wants to share. And I was just like, what is wrong with you, girl, Monica? Like this seems like a great guy. And then the sleep study happened, and I was just like, dude. Like we were rooting for you. Like what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
The way they glossed over that because I'm like, first of all, why are you drunk at a sleep study? Like that
How?
didn't make any sense. Like
How? That doesn't make
yeah,
any sense. I
yeah.
I okay. I actually don't his innocence, quote unquote, I actually saw past it. There's something about people that try to I felt like it was just inauthentic.
Mm,
The person when they try to embody this persona where they are the perpetual victim, I really
mm,
watch out for that type of character because I think they try to then it's easy to make the other person the villain because they're more
that's a good
vocal.
one. Yeah.
And I think that that's just a very natural dynamic that people can easily fall into. So it's easy to make Monica the villain because she is specific with her request and she's specific with the type of standard that she
Hmm.
has, right? She says she don't like Kate Spade, she likes YSL. Okay, fine. She's specific. I may not agree with that because I got a beautiful Kate Spade bag. Thank you. I may not agree with that, but that's the standard and preference that she has set for herself.
Hmm.
So for
Hmm.
Steven to then start crying as a result of that statement, I felt like this is this is interesting because you're typically a very chatty person. So for you to not have any words, I find to be very odd.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So
That's a
I
good.
didn't really believe his persona. And then when the whole sleep study thing came out, I'm like, all right, goodbye. We can wrap this up.
I mean, he
Let's
was
move on.
already kind of dropping hints now that you think about it,
He
where he was
was.
like, "Oh, once this whole thing airs, there are
The
gonna be people
groupies and
sliding
the
into the
what are you
DM," and I
talking
was
about,
just
guy?
like, first of all, how are you gonna say that right next to me? Like, if Monica looked really irritated, and that was really when I'm like, at that point, I was on Monica's side. I'm like, dude, read the room. Like, you don't say that next to your fiance. You shouldn't even be
And then to
saying
another woman, so
it
another
to
man's
another.
fiance. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's,
what are you talking about, bro? Anyways, they are done. I don't know why. I have a prediction.
what's your
I
prediction?
don't think Steven's gonna show up to the to the reunion.
Why'd you say that?
The way that he walked out on Monica mid-sentence, I Steven.
And now that you mention it, he didn't even come to the Renaissance party. Right?
Exactly. Steven doesn't seem like, again, because I think of his perpetual victim role, he does not, I think, like to be in difficult situations. And he has a lot of camera awareness. When they were talking and he was like, he broke the fourth wall when he's like, I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. So I'm like,
He seemed really embarrassed.
Yeah.
But then the way he was articulating himself in that moment seemed like he was internalizing and almost beating himself up internally, and they just wanted to get out of there ASAP.
I think that's a perpetual victim tactic for him to self-flagellate and make it seem as if like, oh, I've done this wrong, I'm so sorry, so that way people can continue to feel bad for him.
I mean, it could be, or it could just be that he didn't expect to get caught in his mess.
So stupid. I'm sorry.
And now that he got caught, and unfortunately, it's now on national TV,
right.
And he's just like, "Oh my gosh!"
Right.
Like it makes sense in the sense where he's like, "I need to get out of here."
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen. Was she the best, bro? Our Nigerian brother. Anyways, I guess we can go on to, let's see. Okay. Let's talk about Garrett and Taylor real quick. And I guess just to summarize, Garrett and Taylor have made it down the aisle. They are married. To be very honest with you, I think that like I knew this was going to happen, not because of the way that they were, but if you actually look at Garrett's Instagram, you can tell that he has been wifeified. Okay? That man looks good now. It's like an upgraded like wifeified effect. So not surprised at all that they have made it. I felt like one of my mutual friends on on this whole like creator world, she said that if there's any couple that is doing this experiment right, it's Garrett and Taylor. Like they are asking the questions that they need to ask, having the difficult conversations that they need to have, and they are doing what needs to be done and doing this experiment justice.
Yes.
So not surprised that they made it down the altar. What are your thoughts?
I mean, when you mentioned their name, I was like, oh, I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. And I agree. I feel like they asked the right questions. They came in with their emotions, but also with their logic.
Yes.
And they were looking to see, are we compatible, in terms of values? And do we want the same things? And are we going to be positive additions to each other's lives? I also love that, Taylor was able to articulate when Garrett had like a fumble, and she articulated what she didn't like and made her request clear to set boundaries, but also gave him a bit of grace and to try to move past it. I do hope at the reunion that they're still together, because I just like them together, and I thought it was really cute when at the wedding when her mom gave her like the blanket from
the little baby bonnet, right? Yeah, that was very cute. What did you think of Taylor's dress? Very unconventional, right?
It was unconventional, but when I saw it, I was like, it fit her personality. I felt like it fit Taylor. Like she's very smart, but she also has a sense of humor. Like so I felt like the dress fit her. She looked nice. I like them.
I think it was unconventional. I
wouldn't wear it.
Yeah, that part.
But I'm not Taylor.
Right. But it also matched, like, it was on brand, because once I saw what her bridesmaids were wearing, I'm like, oh, Taylor's not going to wear a traditional dress if her bridesmaids are wearing suits. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, that's good. Moving on. That's good. We wish Taylor and Garrett the best. We do hope that they're still together. Oh my goodness. I don't know which couple to go to next. Okay, you pick either Tyler or Ashley or Tim and Alex.
Let's do Tyler and Ashley, because it only makes sense to kind of end with Tim and Alex.
Okay. Tyler and Ashley. Oh my goodness. First of all, did you know Ashley's half Nigerian?
I figured it out with her father.
So I saw that.
I was like, the father looked like I was like, this is our people.
Honestly, though, I actually thought that he was Caribbean.
Really?
When listening to him, like when he had met Tyler, I thought that Ashley's dad was Caribbean until the last scene where they were like at the wedding party. I saw one of the aunties about to pull out money, but then the camera cut, and I'm like, no, that's an auntie pulling out money to spray.
Girl.
Yeah.
From the scene where he met, what's his name again?
Tyler, yeah.
I was like, I can. This is our brother. This is our. No, I don't want to say brother because I'm sure he's much older than me. This is somebody's uncle in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Like,
no, but
yeah.
But the uncle looks good though, so I'm not going to. He's a very fine looking uncle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I will give it to him. He definitely was well packaged.
Yeah.
The beard was looking good. He looked good.
You handsome guy.
So I was not surprised when Ashley mentioned, kind of hinted that the way he treated her mom and other women, I was like, there goes. I wonder if he's Yoruba and the Yoruba, or maybe he's Igbo. Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, that was interesting to see. So Tyler and Ashley, my goodness. So Tyler and Ashley have made it down the aisle, and they have both said yes. Despite, now I also have difficulty talking about this because I was sharing with one of my mutual followers that I want to stay clear of this topic because it involves children. So I do want to maintain I want to be respectful of this situation because children are involved. But just to give a brief synopsis, Tyler did inform Ashley off camera during the Love is Blind season that he is a sperm donor, and I'm using air quotes, sperm donor to 3 children. Now, if you are on social media, you may have seen the rumblings and the confirmation from the mother of those children saying that Tyler was a sperm donor to only one of the children. But was not in fact, like, they naturally conceived the other 2 children naturally, and he is an active participant in their lives. Ooh. The last time allegedly that he had seen these children was prior to, like, the night before the Love is Blind filming had begun, so he hasn't seen them since. This is one of those things that I think we are waiting for the reunion to see, like, what's Tyler gonna say, because he hasn't really come out to say anything regarding any of this. So this is very touchy because, again, I do not like talking about children on, like, any platform. I think it's not fair. At some point they will grow up and have to live through this. But I guess what we can talk about is the fact that Tyler did bring up that fact that he was a sperm donor at a certain 2 weeks prior to their wedding to Ashley. If you were Ashley, would you have stayed?
Girl,
would you have stayed?
I mean, so yes, we could definitely talk about it without talking about the children,
right?
And Ashley's point was valid because, you know, he had the time to kind of bring it up during the when they were in the pods, or to kind of hint at it or bring it up when they were at the honeymoon. He had, like, time.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Tyler did not mention this on his application either. Sorry, girl. But please continue.
So, for Ashley's point, her issue, because she did say that I don't have an issue with you having kids. What bothers me is that you did not bring it up till now. So then it brings up the question of what else don't I know? So then it starts to chip at the trust, which is, you know, a key foundation for relationships. So which is where I'm like it's not about the kids. It's about the fact that you withheld information. So then what else could you be withholding? So yeah, I mean, if I was Ashley, would I stay? I'm not Ashley. I have my own issues, so I most likely wouldn't stay because in my head I would just be thinking, what else don't I know? What else don't I know?
Exactly.
But I feel like Ashley does seem like a very smart woman, so I feel like she probably considered a lot of factors and felt like for her to have stayed, it seemed like the factors she considered probably outweighed that particular, you know, fumble. on his part. But yeah, I'm just kind of, with all the noise that's been going on social media, I'm kind of curious to see where they're at the reunion. I was really rooting for them until that scene.
They were my favorite couple because I'm like, honestly, they, a lot like Garrett and Taylor, were just able to communicate so well. And I just really enjoyed watching them. But when all of this came out, I'm like, ugh, why did it have to be you? I don't think that I would stay if I were Ashley, because my Inspector Gadget and FBI FBI self on the side would not let me rest, and I would figure things out. And I think that a lot of the things that have come out on social media, I would have found those things prior to them coming out, just being Inspector Gadget. And one of the things that I think that I would also see and try to confirm if what Tyler is telling me is the truth in between, like what with what I find. And one of the things that came out was Tyler has been down this road before. He actually has been engaged before. Yeah, allegedly. Let's protect ourselves. Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't say, because initially I thought maybe, but then I realized I forgot the context is that they're on a show where you just met this person like what 3 weeks ago. So there's already kind of like, for me, there's a bit of anxiety as to like, am I making a rash decision?
Right.
And then you drop that bomb on me in the middle of trying to like tell myself, no, you can do this. I'm like, no, I can't.
Right. That's why I'm really interested to see how it's actually going to play out at the reunion, because if we map this out correctly, Tyler proposed on his birthday to Ashley. And I saw on Instagram, because Tyler just had a birthday. So his birthday is in October. So they did film this in October of last year. So they've been living with this for a year. So for a year, he's had a year to really like tell all to his wife, because they did get married. So I'm interested to see what has happened. Technically, we can kind of find out because we can just look up public records, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just wait. I'm going to just wait a week for Netflix to tell me. But this is one of those things where, yeah, I would chuck up the deuces and I'd be out of there if it were me. I can't. I don't like mess, and I don't like embarrassment.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I realized that I said, oh, let's talk about Ashley and Tyler, because it only makes sense to talk about Tim and Alex last. And then while we were talking, I realized, wait, there's Marissa and Ramses?
Oh, I forgot about them. Do you know I always forget about this couple?
Yeah.
I think it's the part, wait, did I even write them down here?
Girl. It was while we were talking, I was like, I just remembered.
I even didn't write them in the notes. I completely forgot about those two. Oh my goodness, no offense, but like, honestly, I can't understand, like, when they talk, it's just womp, 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 like, I can't do it when they talk. And I just hear so much, like, fillers, and my brain just goes completely blank. So I think that's why I always forget about them. But I guess we did see that Ramses. You watched it, so if you haven't watched it, you should pause right here if you have not watched it. But Ramses broke up with Marissa because he said their energies didn't match. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think about Ramses and Marissa?
First of all, the reason he gave her for why their energies didn't match, just to me, why they broke up, because of their energy, her energy level, just made me feel like, are we really gonna like pick a spouse based off energy levels? Like, we're just gonna bypass compatibility and values and this just go straight to you're hyper, and like. But to be fair, to be honest, I think that it seemed like Ramses was, I mean, being that he has been married before. So, and she mentioned that whenever he has conversations with his friends, he starts to have questions. And I think that maybe from the perspective of someone who's been married before, and he did say he did not want another divorce, he was probably having that reality thing hitting him in the face, like, am I really going to do this? And how sure am I? Like, I need more time. But I also think he was seeing a lot of incompatibilities with them that he didn't quite know how to reconcile, and he didn't know how to articulate it properly. And Marissa just kind of seemed like, we'll figure it out. Let's just like, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Like, yeah.
You know, I think that Ramses and Marissa, they're funny. I think every person has a right to not want to be with the person. That's completely fine. And the fact that he was married before, I understand that is a wound. However, I just always come back to the question, do you know what show you signed up for? Do you know where you are? Do you know that you are quite literally in a social experiment that accelerates a dating process for you to marry somebody at some point? Why do you not think about these things prior to coming into this experience? That does not mean that you have to stay with the person that you may get connected to. But if you know, it's okay if you need a longer period of time to know whether or not you want to be with somebody. I don't think Love is Blind is a show for you, dog. It's just that simple.
He did say that he didn't think he was going to arrive at this conclusion. That I think maybe he was, when he signed it, maybe he was being optimistic and hoping for the best.
Oh, look what optimism got.
But I do think, though, that even if he didn't have a past of being married, I feel like if he came on the show and he had never been married before and he was paired with Marissa, I still feel like he probably would have made the same decision, because I feel like he was seeing incompatibilities. Like when they had the conversation about her military background and what he views about the military, and that awkward meeting with her mom, I feel like yeah, I feel like when they're having those conversations, and the conversations about when he wants to have kids and when she wants to have kids, all of those things are huge, deal breakers in marriages, where it's like you want to figure that out before you get married. And I feel like when they were having those conversations and it was dawning on him that we are not seeing eye to eye on these big topics, maybe we're not compatible, like this is work. But he just didn't articulate it properly. But then Marissa, I feel like she just wanted to be like, let's just get married, we'll figure it out.
I see Marissa and I view her as a person that's a lot smarter than that. And from the way that she reacted to the breakup and that conversation, I think it completely threw her off guard, because Marissa was saying, you didn't feel this way 2 days ago. So like, what is, and I can understand if she's feeling like every time you have a conversation with somebody, whatever conversation we had just had where we had a specific, we had a consensus, it goes out the window and I can't keep track of this up and down, She seems like a person that is very emotionally aware and emotionally in tune with like what she wants. And if they're able to have what they think are or deem as healthy conversations and get through things, and then now, maybe like, what is it, a few days before the wedding, all of a sudden, here come these heavy doubts. Why didn't you tell me about these doubts that you were having prior to? If you were noticing these incompatibilities, because, yeah, they had some pretty fundamental disagreements about, like, themselves. I wish that he had, like, been honest with his feelings and honest with what he had felt throughout the process, so that it doesn't come like such a shock to her, because the entire time they're having these disagreements and he's saying, oh, but babe, I love you, I'm gonna get married to you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel I mean, Marissa is a lawyer. I do agree with you that she is smart, and which is why I feel like a lot of the issue was in how Ramses articulated, because he did say when he was breaking up with her that he was seeing incompatibilities, but he was telling himself that he can move past it, and he's realizing that he can't. So I think if like when they would have maybe these conversations, he would articulate to her like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I
Yeah.
still love you, I still want you. But then eventually it's like, but internally that's not what's
That's
going
not
on.
what, yeah. So I
Yeah.
guess moral of the story, friends, be honest with yourself.
Yes.
Be honest with yourself, folks. Because you
Yeah.
end up hurting other people and yourself, honestly.
That
Um,
breakup scene was tough.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I actually cried
I
with
felt for
Marissa.
her.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was really, when she said, "Are you sure?" My heart broke. Cause,
I
ugh.
felt for her.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
don't beg him. Don't beg him.
Yeah.
Don't beg
Yeah.
him. Oh. Anyway, so Tim and Alex, child, these two, Tim and Alex.
What was this? What was the comment that Tim? Because I feel like that it only makes sense to when we're done to end with.
Oh, to
with
end with, I'm glad we can both
yeah.
agree that I don't ever want to see you again. I guess we can end with that, right? I'm glad we can both agree I don't ever want to see you again. Tim and Alex met each other, and Tim, in the pods, I guess they connected, and respectfully speaking, I guess they connected over Tim's dead sisters. I thought that it was, actually, before I get into my thoughts, they connected in the pods. They met. It seemed like Tim is a jokester. Alex is not really into all of his jokes. Tim is talking about he's a dog. Alex is like, stop talking about you being a dog. Something about that led to an argument that they did not capture on camera, which I'm still kind of annoyed with. The Love is Blind cameras for not capturing that argument. Because allegedly, Alex put her hand over Tim's mouth for him to stop talking. Alex says that she actually only motioned. I don't know what that looks like, but whatever. They get over it. They get past that argument. Tim decides to ask Alex's father for Alex's hand in marriage. In this very emotional scene, a day later, Alex meets Tim's parents. Tim is not satisfied with the fact that once Love is Blind cameras went down, Alex went and took a nap. And she also didn't do the dishes when he cooked for her entire family. So he broke up with her and told her, I'm glad we can both agree that I don't ever want to see you again. Is this reason enough to break up with somebody, Tope?
Listen, Tim checked out once they had that fight, and when he saw her partner,
Thank you. That's what thank you.
he's like, I think it was a combination of him seeing the apartment and then him realizing, well, he cooked and had to clean.
And if you notice in
His
the
brain
apartment,
was probably like, flashback.
if you notice in the apartment, his hands were behind his back the whole time. Tim didn't want to touch anything. He's like, Tim's looking around like, this is gonna be my life.
All of that and was just like, I'm out.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I
this ain't
agree.
gonna work for me. I mean, he seems like, I mean, especially when you see his place, he seems very like organized
Yeah.
and things of that nature. I just feel like personality wise, they didn't quite mesh.
I agree.
I feel like it came across sometimes like he irritated her, and almost like she wanted to like when he wants to have fun, it's like embarrassing to her.
Yeah.
And then she came across to him like, oh, he really liked her, but then once they had that situation, he came across like, who the heck am I with?
Right,
Like,
right. I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think at some point I noticed that these two were just not compatible because I think that they had very different lifestyles and standards and thresholds. A lot of people online were really upset with Alex because she didn't text him back, and I'm like, people have very different texting patterns. And Alex did say, I'm actually a person that you text me, I'll call you. And I understand that because I'm that type of person too. If you text me, I'll most likely either send you a voice note, which you've experienced, or I will give you a call, like I'll video call you. That's just me, right? So I think Tim had a lot of expectations for how Alex should be and show up, but I don't know that he communicated that to her, especially when it came down to the disagreement with her not hanging out with his parents after they had come up to, like, drove 10 hours to come and see her or come and meet her or whatever the case was. I understand why he is upset, because if my parents drive 10 hours to come and see you, like, hey, try to hang out with them. But if he did not communicate that to her, I can also see where she's like, I spoke to you guys for 4 hours, social battery's dead, I need to go and take a quick nap real quick. if he doesn't tell her, I want you to sit by me and hang out with them, how is she supposed to know? You don't give her that chance, right?
Yeah.
And I can't expect for someone to know that that is a proper thing to do. That's something that's subjective. So you're going to have to speak up.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely were times in where it seemed like he was expecting her to read his mind. But I will say that from that scene where they went shopping at the honeymoon, I already knew that this was not going to work
Yeah.
because it just came across like she probably didn't like the core of
Yeah.
who he was. Like the core of who he is seemed to just irritate
Get on
her
her
and
nerves.
just like and get on her nerves. Like, why are you playing too much?
Yeah.
Like, I think she wanted him to be more serious. And he seems like, I can be serious, but I also want to play.
Yeah.
Like, I also have a fun side, but it seemed like his fun side was irritating her. So the way she was taking little passive digs at him, like, why you buying that hat? Like, do you really, like, it was clear to me, like, I knew that they were going to
They're just
have
not going to make it.
issues. Yeah, because she just kept digging in my head. I was like, eventually this is going to be irritating to anyone. Like, why are you just poking at me constantly? But yes, he did seem like he expected her to read her mind, his mind, and he didn't always. Maybe he could have done better with communication. But she just didn't seem as like excited about him. Yeah, she didn't into it.
Well, I'm glad we can both agree that they ain't never going to see each other again.
That the way they ended that was just so abrupt.
I'm like, what's with the editing? Why did they just slip that? Like, I literally, when he said that, my jaw dropped. I was shocked.
First of all, I mean, the way that he initiated the conversation already came off tense.
I'm not gonna lie.
He was about to eat and he's like, "Are you gonna come sit here?"
I was so mad at him for that. I'm like, you just watched me prepare this food. You watched me walk over and sit down to eat the food. And now is when you want to ask me to sit and have a conversation with you that you're about to break up with me. You can wait, sir. You'll be all right. Anyways, that's it. That's all on the Love is Blind, folks. Tope, let me just ask you this last question.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Is love blind?
I mean, technically, yes, I guess. But in the way they do the experiment on the show, it kind of seems like it's not. But I mean, truly, true love is, and well, I guess it also depends on the context of when people say love is blind. Like, I don't need to see you to be in love with you. But in my opinion, like, true love sees all your mess and still chooses you. So
That part, the choice.
for me, that's the only way I feel like love being blind works.
Yeah.
It's like, I see your mess, but I choose to be blinded to your mess, and I choose to focus on your, the positives and help you improve on the areas that need, but I'm not, it's more like I see everything and I want it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm choosing you based off what I don't see.
I love that.
But yeah.
I love that. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I want to take a moment and thank our guest, Tope, for joining me. This was a very fun conversation. I hope I can get her again. Please like this if you want something to come back again. But thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our audience?
No, thanks for having me, and I look forward to the reunion.
Yes, let's see how that goes.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all so much for listening to the Reality Check podcast. I will post our socials somewhere on the video. But please do follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Reality Check Podcast. On Twitter, we are at Reality, I think it's _P. I don't know. I'll put it somewhere here. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on this episode and Love is Blind so far. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
And let us know your thoughts on all the couples. What do you think?
Please.
about it?
Please. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.